The private jet has already landed, the meetings have already happened, and the number everyone keeps whispering is $100 million. So why does it suddenly feel like the entire future of the New York Giants is hanging by a thread? Because this isn't just about hiring a coach. This is about power, control, legacy, and whether one of the NFL's oldest franchises is finally ready to change how it operates, or if it's about to stumble into one of the most embarrassing collapses in modern league history. If you're a Giants fan, you've felt this feeling before. That nervous pit in your stomach when something sounds too good to be true. The calm before the chaos. The moment where hope shows up uninvited, just before reality tries to kick the door down. And right now, that hope has a name. John Harbaugh. Earlier this week, the football world was buzzing. Reports started flying that the Giants had done it. They had landed the crown jewel of the coaching market. A Super Bowl champion. A proven leader. A man who had dragged the Baltimore Ravens into relevance year after year, through roster turnover, injuries, quarterback changes, and brutal AFC battles. A man who commands instant respect the second he walks into a locker room. 5 years. 9 figures. A rumored $100 million commitment. This was supposed to be the turning point. The end of the post-Eli wandering. The signal that the Giants were done experimenting, done guessing, done pretending stability didn't matter. And then silence. No announcement. No celebratory press release. No photo of Harbaugh shaking hands in East Rutherford. Just whispers, delays, and a phrase that should make every Giants fan uneasy. Organizational and operational issues. That phrase came straight from Jordan Raanan, one of the most plugged-in voices covering this franchise. And when someone like Raanan says there's still a gap to close, it tells you this isn't about paperwork. This isn't about a typo. This is about how the Giants do business, and whether John Harbaugh is willing to attach his name to it. Think about how wild this is for a second. Harbaugh was flown in on a private jet owned by part owner Steve Tisch. He spent hours inside the Giants facility. He met face to face with ownership, with general manager Joe Schoen, with the people who would be shaping the next chapter of his career. This wasn't exploratory. This wasn't casual. This was a courtship. And yet here we are, days later, with fans refreshing timelines, insiders calming nerves, and the possibility, however small, that the whole thing could unravel. Ian O'Connor tried to steady the ship, telling fans to hang in there, saying things were still okay, that both sides knew what was at stake. Adam Schefter said it was about contract language. But that word, language, can mean 1,000 different things in the NFL. Language can mean control over the coaching staff. Language can mean authority over the roster. Language can mean how much power a head coach really has when things go wrong. And that's where this story gets uncomfortable for Giants fans. Because John Harbaugh isn't just another coach looking for a paycheck. He's a man who spent 18 seasons in Baltimore, making the playoffs 12 times, winning a Super Bowl, and building a culture that survived almost everything except the brutal reality of expectations. He's seen what functional organizations look like. He's seen alignment between ownership, front office, and coaching. He's also seen what happens when that alignment cracks. Remember how his Baltimore tenure ended. A missed field goal at the buzzer. A playoff dream slipping away in seconds. A franchise deciding it was time to move on, despite all the success. Harbaugh didn't leave desperate. He left with leverage, with options, with Tennessee and Atlanta lurking in the background, ready to listen. That leverage matters. So when the Giants say they're working through organizational issues, what they're really saying is this. John Harbaugh is asking hard questions, and the Giants are being forced to answer them. Who has final say on personnel decisions? How much influence the head coach has over the quarterback situation? What happens if the general manager and head coach disagree? How patience is defined in New York, a market that eats coaches alive. Giants fans know this franchise has burned through leadership fast. Brian Daboll was fired in November, leaving the team without a permanent head coach yet again. Promising starts followed by ugly finishes. Hope followed by frustration. Joe Schoen is still here, entering his 5th season running football operations. That alone tells you how delicate these talks are. A coach like Harbaugh doesn't walk into a building assuming he's just another voice. He walks in expecting to be a pillar. And if that expectation isn't met on paper, you get delays. You get gaps. You get nervous fan bases. Scroll through social media, and you can feel the panic creeping in. Fans calling it the most unserious organization in pro sports. Others begging ownership to give Harbaugh literally anything he wants. Some convinced that this would be the final straw if it falls apart. And that fear isn't irrational, because this hire was about more than wins and losses. It was about credibility. When the news broke that the Giants had beaten out other teams for Harbaugh, it felt like a declaration. Like New York was done watching other franchises get it right while they searched for answers. It felt like the Giants were finally acting like the Giants again. Losing Harbaugh now wouldn't just be missing out on a coach. It would be confirmation of every criticism that's followed this team for years. That they don't move fast enough. That they overthink. That they struggle with power dynamics. That they can't close. But here's the twist in this story, the part that hasn't fully surfaced yet. All signs still point to this deal getting done. Every major insider has emphasized that. Still on track. Still okay. Still talking deep into the night. That matters. Deals that are truly falling apart don't keep going. They leak. They fracture. They turn hostile. That hasn't happened here. Instead, what we're seeing is a high-stakes negotiation between a franchise desperate for stability and a coach who refuses to compromise on structure. That's not weakness. That's tension. And tension is what happens when something important is on the line. Ask yourself this. Would you rather have a coach who signs quickly without questions, or one who slows everything down to make sure the foundation is solid? Harbaugh's entire career has been built on preparation and alignment, on systems that last, on cultures that don't collapse at the first sign of adversity. If he's pushing back, it's because he's trying to avoid becoming another name on the Giants' long list of what could have been. And that's where this moment becomes defining for ownership. Because saying yes to Harbaugh doesn't just mean writing a big check. It means changing how decisions are made. It means clarity. It means accountability at every level. The Giants know what they're risking. That's why Steve Tisch personally flew Harbaugh in. That's why they moved fast. That's why they wanted this wrapped up before other teams with vacancies could regroup. This isn't arrogance. It's urgency. And urgency is something Giants fans have been begging for. So here we are, stuck in the in-between. Between optimism and dread. Between leaks and silence. Between a future that finally makes sense and another chapter of frustration. This is the calm before either the celebration or the backlash. Because if John Harbaugh signs that contract, everything changes. The locker room tone changes. The national perception changes. The expectations change overnight. And if he doesn't, the questions won't stop. About leadership. About competence. About whether this franchise truly understands what it takes to win in today's NFL. That's why this delay feels so heavy. Because it's not about time. It's about trust. So here's the real question I want you to think about, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. If John Harbaugh is demanding more control to protect his legacy, should the Giants give it to him, even if it reshapes how the entire organization operates? Because that answer might tell us more about the future of the New York Giants than any contract announcement ever could.